So, so now let's go through there where headcount. Why does headcount matter? And headcount matters because it drives about everything about the business. It drives the systems that are required, the management structure that's required. It drives the organizational development that's required, the opportunities, the strategies. And so one way to look at this is, almost just very simply look at your peak headcount over about a 2 month period of time. So look back last year, forecast forward. That's what you have to be designing your organization around. Now, there's some variables that go with that. We talked through those in the self-evaluation tool for the inflection points, but complexity of business matters. For instance, if you're doing a single trade or single scope of work like concrete, and you're doing it primarily all in one geographical location for a particular type of market sector, then you can have a much higher headcount with much less complexity within your management structure and within your systems. On the other hand, if you're in multiple geographic locations and you have a fully integrated business with design and engineering services and manufacturing and several integrated businesses related to that, you might have a lower headcount but a higher complexity requirement for management structure, processes, systems. Any comments on this piece right here?
Well, probably the biggest comment is I do like you kind of look at that kind of 2 month peak head count. Most people look at, well, I'm fine right where I'm at, but they look at it at the probably least confusing time of the year, right? It's like if I don't know, if you have to have your appendix out, that's not the time you want to decide which hospital you want to go to, right? You want to have done the research ahead of time and know where you want to go to get that done. So you want to do it in a time of calm. And here we tend to want to do things in a time of calm without looking at when in most cases, it feels like the chaos is happening in, June, July, August, certainly for the heavy civil people, where, you're making hay while the sun shines, but you're not really looking at your structure and your systems. You might be feeling the stress of them, but then it calms down over, the winter months, and you're like, oh yeah, see, it's fine. It's like, well, it might be fine now, but just remember, you got to go back and look where you were and when the stress points were. And sometimes we forget to grab those times and try to remember that the chaotic feel, right, that went
Right.
with it, because that's when you find out whether your systems are really, and your structure is really good. Is, did it break then, or was it about to break, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. So last week we had, and everybody's running into these problems now. I think with major jobs pushing just because of supply chain issues and things like that. So they had what they thought was a pretty level backlog and a curve that looked about like this, and they had four really large jobs push, and of course, start dates push, but completion dates don't usually push. That's just the nature of what the project owner wants or needs out of it. And so there may be acceleration, payments or anything like that, but it doesn't change the fact that they went through it. I think they're going to burn off like some a crazy number, like 75% of the work that they planned over a 12-month period. They're going to do it over a 5-month period,
Right.
and that creates all kinds of stress, and that's kind of a lull before the storm. And so the CEO is just going, oh man, I can't wait to get through the next 5 months. And I'm sitting there going, well, cool, but let's look forward. The next 5 months is actually going to be our normal, based on our plans and what we want to do strategy wise. That's our new normal 3 years from now. And I kind of hate the term new normal with COVID and everything, but that's a way to look at it. So as they're going into this, they can't look at it like, oh, I hope I get past the next 5 months. They have to look at it and say, what's breaking in with our people, our systems, our strategies, and our tools, our equipment, all of those things, what's breaking, so that they can put all the effort into putting the right structure, the scaffolding in place, so to speak, around all that. So that 3 years from now, that becomes just easy. That becomes the new normal.
Yeah, well, and that's why the plans for growth are so important. Because if you do just look at it as, hey, I've got this hill to get over, that's one thing. But yeah, if that hill is just your new base camp, then yeah, you got to look at it in an entirely different way. to get there. And a lot of times, we when we look at jobs individually, we don't necessarily see all the things that can happen when they all get scheduled together, right? I
Right.
imagine in
Right.
the meeting the other day, the CFO of that company is probably running around going, "Uh-oh, we better redo some cash flows here because we've got all 5 of these starting at the same time, which is great, but, the cash flow is gonna be strapped for what could be
Yep.
4 to 8 or 10 weeks, and, that could be a make or break that wasn't gonna be a make or break 6 months ago."
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's a good point. That yeah, what the CFO was running around doing was actually getting. Glad you brought that up. Yeah, they were running around and focused on to double their line of credit.
Yeah,
They had to talk to their bonding company and work through that, and they had to do that while they were showing financials that showed horrible financial performance during the first half of their fiscal
yeah,
year
yep,
because these jobs pushed, and it
yep.
had nothing to do with any of the fundamentals of the business. Everything was running as it should. It's just that if you have that much work push out 6 months, it just hurts really really bad. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that's the thing, you've gotta understand the things that you can control, and then just manage around the things that you can't, right? If an owner says, "I'm gonna push this out 60 days or 6 months," you can't control that. Maybe with through some
yeah,
talks and helping them find some, better financing or something, but you can't necessarily control that. But you can control the talk you're having with the bonding company. You can control the talk you're having with the bank.
right.
You can do all of those things in preparation and hopefully put that down, put it down on a piece of paper so that if it ever happens again, and it will, what were the things you did, and now just go back to the list and look at it again and continually update that list so you've got a regular, again, process that you can go through every time that happens.